Yahoo reports on a story that's gotten a lot of attention, made a lot of headlines from the college football world. A prominent football coach has been suspended, soon to be fired, most likely, after claims of sexual harassment. And the media has done their usual routine of just basically assuming the guy is guilty. The school's assuming the same. And there are some people on the other side that are defending the coach and saying, no, he's certainly innocent. And I sort of think that everyone is wrong. So it's one of those cases. But here's the story. Michigan State head football coach Mel Tucker has been suspended after reports he sexually harassed anti-rape activist Brenda Tracy. Multiple media reports reported late Saturday night that Tucker allegedly harassed Tracy as she was working with his team. Tracy, a rape survivor who works with college football teams and other organizations regarding sexual assault education, filed a complaint with Michigan State regarding Tucker's alleged actions, and he's been the subject of a Title IX investigation at the school. Tucker, 51, is 19-14 in his time in Michigan State's head coach, though 11 of those wins came in one season. He was hired by the Spartans ahead of the 2020 season after 1 year as Colorado's head coach. After a 2-5 debut season, Michigan went 11-2 in 2021 and won the Peach Bowl. The rapid improvement earned Tucker a 10-year contract extension with $95 million guaranteed. That money, however, is guaranteed only if Tucker is fired without cause and is at risk if the school finds that Tucker, quote, engaged in any conduct which constitutes moral turpitude or which, in the university's reasonable judgment, would tend to bring public disrespect, contempt, or ridicule. Okay, so reading about the contract there, because there's some important context potentially. Michigan State locked in with a $95 million contract, which, by the way, is already insane that universities have this kind of money to spend on football coaches. Nothing new, this is not news, I realize, but it's worth reflecting on just a moment. $95 million on a football coach. Okay, but if there's a student debt crisis, it's on the taxpayers to fix. We're the ones who have to fix it. So the schools themselves have hundreds of millions lying around for football coaches, but we have to pay off the loans of the college kids that those same schools scammed. Which is why, I've always been very much opposed to student debt relief, because that really means redistribution of wealth, where we're taking from people who didn't take out the loans, working class people who didn't pay off the loans, and we're paying off the loans of college graduates. It's kind of like an upper class welfare system. So I've always been opposed to that. However, the one form of student debt relief, student debt forgiveness that I personally could entertain is where you're taking the money from the schools. You're forcing the schools to pay off the loans. Now, that's something we could talk about. The schools are the ones running this scam, and they're also the ones who have hundreds of millions of dollars, again, laying around. Anyway, so they locked in for this contract based on one good season. His other seasons have not been that good. So now they could potentially salvage most of that money if they fire him with cause for committing sexual harassment. The other point that we have to mention here is that this is a black head coach, which that does become relevant because there's very much an incentive for these schools to give big contracts to black head coaches so that they can show up. He got this contract in 2020, probably not a coincidence. But then also, if they want to fire somebody like that, then that's all the more reason why they need to have cause. They need to have a scandal. So we start to understand what their motivations, the school motivations, might be to take this claim seriously. Reading on, Tracy says that Tucker made sexual comments about her and masturbated during a phone call between the two in April 2022. According to USA Today, Tucker acknowledged his conduct during the phone call to Michigan State investigators and said in a letter to investigators that the two were having consensual, quote, phone sex. According to the USA Today report, Tucker, who is married, pursued Tracy romantically after she started working with the team. She reportedly told investigators she rebuffed Tucker's advances before he called her for over a half hour on April 26th. Now, some more important context that's not mentioned here, it's been shown through phone records that Tracy and Tucker had, I think, 27 phone calls that all averaged about 30 minutes before this. before the alleged sexual harassment and all that. 27 phone calls for 30 minutes. I have not talked on the phone with anyone for 30 minutes since I was in high school, maybe. So now imagine, it's like 30 minutes on the phone is a long time. That is a long time, especially these days. That might as well be 30 days on the phone. I mean, that is a marathon phone call. And now imagine 27 calls with a person for 30 minutes. The significance of that is it would seem to very, very much suggest that they were in some kind of romantic relationship. Okay, and I certainly cannot imagine a situation where it would be appropriate for a woman to have 27 30-minute phone calls, often late at night, with a married man, who she knew was married, of course. Vladimir Putin called the U.S. dollar's drop in dominance objective and irreversible as Brazil, Russia, China, India, and South Africa formally agreed to use local currencies in trade instead of the U.S. dollar. As demand for the dollar weakens, the buying power of the dollar also weakens. That's why Birch Gold is busier than ever. Investors and savers are looking to harness the power of physical gold held in a tax-sheltered IRA, and you can too. You can protect your IRA or 401k by diversifying with gold from Birch Gold. As the U.S. dollar continues to receive pressure from foreign countries, digital currency, and central banks, arm yourself with information on how to protect your savings. Learn if gold is right for you too. Text Walsh to 989898 and they'll send you a free info kit on gold with an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, thousands of happy customers, and countless 5-star reviews. I trust Birch Gold to help you diversify into gold. If a central bank digital currency becomes a reality, it'll be nice to have some gold to depend on. Again, text Walsh to 989898. Also, by the way, Tucker says that 2 months after the phone sex call, she sent him a Happy Father's Day text message. Okay. Continuing. Now we're going to read what she told investigators about what happened. In her interview, Tracy became extremely tearful to the point of sobbing, describing this portion of the party's encounter. A report from Michigan State obtained by USA Today said, Tracy could hear Tucker masturbating, including, quote, every stroke. She could hear the noise of some kind of lubrication being used. Tracy said it was so loud and gross. She could hear Tucker moaning and groaning. Tracy kind of froze in the moment at first. Tracy thought to herself, oh my God, this is happening and I can't stop it. It's going to happen whether I like it or not. Tracy was trying to figure out what to do. It didn't occur to Tracy that she could hang up. Tracy kept thinking over and over that she has to say something and that she couldn't let this happen again, referring to her prior experience of being a victim / survivor of sexual assault. All right. So I don't know what happened. I don't know if this guy is guilty or not of what he's being accused of. Here's what I think I do know. That there are no good guys in this case. There's really no one to root for, right? You've got Michigan State giving this insane contract to this guy, then using this claim to get out of it. You've got Tucker, who at best, is a married man with children having phone sex with some other woman. And on top of that, on top of the fact that he's betraying his family, which, is obviously the most important point, he's doing this after getting a $95 million contract. You just got paid a $95 million. You're going to put all that on the line to have phone sex with some random woman. So just utterly treacherous and reckless and stupid behavior by Tucker, again, at best. And then you've got Tracy, who at best, chose to stay on the phone for apparently 36 minutes while a guy masturbates, rather than just hanging up the damned phone. We're told it didn't occur to her that she could hang up? What? What do you mean? It didn't occur to you? You forgot that there's a hang-up function on the phone? You didn't remember that? Oh, I can hang these things up. I had no idea. Oh, you mean I can take the phone down from my ear and hang it up. I forgot that I could do that. So we're supposed to imagine her on the phone, like listening to this and going, I don't know what to do. How do I stop this? How do I stop hearing this thing that's coming out of this phone that's right against my ear? Is this the first time you've ever used a phone in your life that you don't know how these things work? So if Tucker had non-consensual phone sex, which was sexual harassment, if that happened, then he's a disgusting creep. at a minimum. If it was consensual, he's still a creep, given that he's married. But there has to also be like a modicum of personal responsibility that factors into this for the person on the other end of the phone, where you like, it's not victim, again, assuming that the claim is true, that he did this without permission or without, it was not reciprocal. It's not victim blaming to just say, okay, like, just, you have agency as a person. Exercise a little bit of personal agency. It doesn't take much. It's not like they're in the same room or something and she can claim that she felt threatened by his presence. He's thousands of miles away. You're on the phone. But of course, the bigger question is whether the claim of the lack of consent is even true. And, some of these additional facts really call that into question. The Happy Father's Day text 2 months later, if that's the case, like you're claiming you're traumatized by this and then you text him Happy Father's Day after it, that's hard to believe. But who knows? I have no idea. I don't know Mel Tucker. I don't know the woman. One could be a liar. They both could be liars. I have absolutely no idea. All I can do is evaluate the facts that are not in dispute. And those facts are that Mel Tucker is a married man who had phone sex, whether reciprocal or not, with a woman who stayed on the phone with him for 36 minutes, a woman who was on the phone with him often late at night for half an hour at a time, 27 times, despite knowing that he's a married man. So it's just like one of those things where nobody is doing the right thing here, and there just isn't any good guy at all. And it does, and by the way, if Mel Tucker is innocent of the sexual harassment claim, this is just another good reason to be faithful to your wife, okay? Not that you deserve to have a false accusation. If it is false, no one deserves false accusations. But it is more difficult for me to have sympathy for someone when you're putting yourself in a situation like this. You're a married man going after this other woman on the phone. Like, you're putting yourself, if it's a false accusation, you're putting yourself in that position. Despite your $95 million contract, you've got a family to lose, you got $100 million to lose, and you still do that, you're a freaking moron. Which is why I have seen some people, like I said, mostly the media has just been assuming the guy's guilty because that's what you do in the Me Too era. I have seen a few people going the other way. A few commentators said, "Oh, this man's innocent. He's being railroaded." It's very hard to feel sorry for him either one way or another. I mean, honestly. Thanks for checking out this video. If you'd like to listen to my full podcast on the go, you can check out The Matt Walsh Show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.